Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Marwell Manor. We're into the sort of middle of our spring period. So today we're going to be starting planting on our fields. We've got field 1 still to work, but we have at least ploughed and prepared fields 18 and 15. And we have also limed field 18 as well. We're going to have to forego spreading lime on field 15 and probably on field 1 as well. We're limited on cash, and I want to make sure that we can at least afford to plant all of our fields and fertilize them as well. So I kind of don't want to have to spend extra money that we don't really have yet. I mean, we do have, as I say, £37,500 left, but it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. And our seed is going to cost us a fair bit. Our fertilizer will cost us as well. And I don't want to run the risk that we can't actually afford to finish seeding all 3 of our fields. I'd rather make sure that we get, something in the ground rather than having, perfectly prepared fields and no money to actually plant them. Got to try and get really close. The tanks are really kind of fiddly. You've got to get right up against them. Just not close enough still. Oops. Cover's closed. That might be a problem. No. Why won't my seed tank work? There we go. Now we're seeding. Or filling it with seed. Let's change our seed as well. We're planting oats on field 18. There we go. We need to put some fertilizer in as well. There we go. Let's get our working lights on. It's still a little bit dark, as you can see. Sun just starting to come up in the distance there. And let's close the hatch on our seeder. Get ourselves into position. We're going to be doing all of the seeding ourselves manually. And once we've seeded this field, we're going to move across to field 15. And we're going to plant on that field, and that's probably going to be everything that we can get done today. If we have enough time left over, we might be able to start work on field 1, but I think that's going to be a job for tomorrow, getting field 1 prepped. And depending on how much money we use up today will kind of indicate as to whether or not we can spread lime on field 1 or not. If we burn through too much cash planting, and this is a big field, so I get the feeling we may have to refill our seeder a little bit. Then we'll have to see. But it's possible that we might have a little bit of spare money left over that will allow us to actually go ahead and line field 1 as well, which would be good if we can do that. It would be an extra boost for us in terms of our sort of crop yields at the end of the season, at the end of the harvest year. But as I say, for today we're going to be concentrating on getting field 18 planted and field 15 planted. I'm not quite sure what crop I want to go with on field 15 yet. I'm thinking canola. That again could cause us a few problems because canola is one of those seeds that we do need a fair bit of. We don't seem to need quite as much with 19 as we did with 17. 17, the seed rate for canola was obscene. But it does seem to be a bit better with Farming Sim 19, so we may well go with canola. I expect we will have to do a refill on field 15 using canola, whereas we could probably get away with just a single seed tank if we were to do a different crop. But canola's a decent money crop. I'd kind of like to make sure that we're in a decent position in that respect. Our choice of crop isn't necessarily going to affect our choices of animals. We're looking to move into cows and sheep first of all. Pigs maybe somewhere down the line. But obviously we don't have to worry about what crops we have. As long as we have a little bit of straw, and we can get straw from our oat crop that we're planting now, it doesn't really matter what the crop is. It's not like with pigs where we need certain crops to feed the pigs if we want to make our own food mix. With cows, it's not going to affect us. We just need grass. That's pretty much it. We can make take a grass field. We could do some as silage, in terms of silage bales. We could do some as hay. And then we've got everything we need for a TMR mix, and as long as we have some straw from this field, we've got enough for bedding. So that's all we need. Nice and simple and straightforward. And if we're doing sheep, if we do sheep first, then again, even simpler. All we need is just a little bit of grass that we can either have as grass or hay. And we'll probably end up going with hay, just so that we can make a few of those extra hay bales, and then we can split our hay bale crop between our sheep and potentially cows as well. I would like to get a couple of cows in at the very least, if we do go with sheep. But if we go with cows first, then obviously we'll just be concentrating on getting as many of those in as we possibly can. You see, the balloon tours have started early. Surprised to see people up and about in a hot air balloon this early in the morning. Actually, it's just coming up to 7 o'clock, so they must have started around about the same time as us, around 6:30. I'm not surprised I can actually see anything, and it must be freezing up there as well. Braver soul than I to go up in a hot air balloon at this time in the morning. And there you can see there is our freshly ploughed field 15. As I say, we'll probably be putting canola on that field there. But that's all sort of prepped and ready for us. I'm just putting in my border, so I've got turning room around the field, and then we'll just be running up and down the field, and we'll be doing this all ourselves. No workforce required today. And then just a border along the bottom as well. I suppose technically we didn't really need to put this border in here, but we'll do it anyway. And there we go. So now we'll just start driving straight up the field. And I'll probably do this fiddly bit first, to the left of us, once we've got this initial kind of run in. And then once that's done, I'll just concentrate working from left to right, I think. I have to say, I do love this new... I can't really see it at the moment because the way where the light is at the moment, we can't really see it. But I do love the new field textures that Oxygendavid has provided for us with this map. The new soil texture, just for cultivated soil. I love this texture. It looks great, and what's even better about this is that it's much less obvious which way you work the soil. I mean, you can still tell if you're looking hard for it, but it's a lot less obvious as to which direction you are actually working the soil compared to the sort of standard default texture that Giants provides. I really, really like it. It feels more natural, and as I say, you can work it in different directions, and it blends together much more seamlessly, which just is brilliant. And I love this new this new planting texture that we have as well, where the seeding lines are a little bit a little bit different. They have more sort of spacing between parts of them. There's different highlighting definitions. So you've got some lines that are more pronounced than others. It's just a very, very nice look, and it's great that we have this new texture. And once again, it kind of begs the question that why do we have such basic, poor textures from Giants for our fields? The plough texture is very basic and not that great. I mean, it's better than it was last year, but it's still not great. The cultivated texture is just exactly the same as we had last year, I think, and pretty bland. The seeding texture, there's no character to it. And the bigger the field, the more pronounced that boring kind of look is. But I mean, just look here, just across here, you can see that sort of change in definition that we have, where you can see that some lines have got more light to them, some are a bit darker than others. There's more definition. It's a really, really nice look, and I wish that Giants would actually just, even if they're just going to continue with 2D textures, I don't mind the 2D textures as long as they actually look good. But unfortunately, more often than not, they don't look that good. And I would love 3D textures, but whether we'll get those ever or not is kind of another question, isn't it? But even if we're just going to have 2D textures, just make them look interesting. Don't make them look so bland and copy paste. I mean, these just, as I say, you can see real character and definition across the field. Just on those 2 passes that we've done there, you can see variation in the lines. It's not a big difference. It's not a big change, but it's subtle enough that it really does make all the difference when you have to look at line after row after row of seeded lines like this. Just those little tweaks mean a huge visual difference, and I really wish Giants would just give us good looking textures if they're going to stick with 2D textures. Oops, I just missed a touch there. Here we go. Right, we're almost done with this side section. Once that's done, we will, as I say, be working all the way across the field, and then we'll do the fiddly bit over there as well. So I'm going to crack on a little bit, and I will see you all very soon. So we've been planting for a little while now. I would say nearly 2 hours. Let's see, it was about 6:30ish when we started, coming on 7. So well, we've been up for about 2 hours. Maybe not planting for 2 hours, but let's just fold up our ridge marker there. Raise our seeder. We're running out of oats in our seeder, as you can see. Fertilizer levels are going down pretty quickly as well, but the seed level is such that we've probably only got another 2 passes, once more up and down the field before we're going to have an empty tank. So we're going to have to go and refill our seeder. We'll have to top up our fertilizer levels at the same time. Still got quite a bit of the field to do. You see, we've done a bit already. We've done a decent amount, but we've still got a long way to go. So it cost us, what, £7,000 to fill this up last time with seed and fertilizer. I reckon we're probably looking at another 2, maybe 3 refills, not counting the one that we're about to make. Or, sorry, including the one we're about to make. So we're probably looking at about 20 odd grand or so in costs, maybe more than that, just to plant this field. This kind of indicates just why I've decided to forego liming our other 2 fields this year, because we just don't look as though we're going to have enough cash for it. We cannot go and we cannot go knocking on Mr. Hollister's door asking him for more money. I was lucky to manage to talk him up from 75,000 to 100,000 for that initial additional investment. There's no way I can go back and ask him for more, so we'll just have to kind of make do with our situation as it is. But it does leave me wondering whether or not I'm going to be able to actually afford to run a second round of fertilising on this field, which would be a bit of a worry if that's the case. Hopefully we'll be alright. I guess time will tell. We'll just have to see how quickly we burn through our remaining cash. But touch wood, we'll be alright. So I'll carry on with this pass, and then I think I'll top our tanks up again when we get to the bottom. There we are, running very, very low, as you can see. Less than 400 litres of seed left, and 670 odd litres of fertiliser. Not a lot left at all in the tanks. And rather than run out mid-pass, I'd rather make sure that we can do complete runs. I did put an extra pass along the bottom of the field as a border there, just to thicken it up a bit. We were still a little bit too close to the hedges at the end of each run, so we do have a little bit more sort of turning room now with that slightly wider headland down there. Bit of an overcast morning at the moment. The sun should be, shining quite brightly, but we do have a little bit of cloudier weather on the horizon, as you can see. The forecast is for a bit of a grey day today. Oh, speaking of the sun shining a bit brighter, there we go. We hit 9 o'clock and the sun is now shining quite a bit brighter indeed. There we go. So let's fold the seeder up. Let's go top it back up again. I wonder if it'll be easier to top up approaching the tanks from this side rather than the other. Let's find out. Let's get our lid raised. Not close enough. There we go. The fill triggers on these do need to be improved a little bit, I think. Just trying to avoid hitting the lime tower while I reposition. There we go. Get the lid closed down again. And back we go to the field. So down to 25 grand remaining. So actually maybe it's not quite so much. Maybe it's about 5 grand to fill up. Oh, well, actually we had a little bit left in, didn't we? So yeah, maybe a combined sort of cost of around 7 grand for a full seeder from empty. We had a little bit of seed and a little bit of fertiliser left, which is why we didn't pay the full 7 grand this time. Let's get our seeder lowered. Put out our ridge marker. And off we go. Just coming up on 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're about halfway through the field now, so you can see we've still got a decent amount of seed and fertiliser left. I think we're probably looking at just one more refill to get this field done, so we're looking at a total cost to seed and fertilise this field at around probably 18 to 20,000, because we're not going to use up all of the tank for the final pass. At least I don't think we are. So probably 18 to 20,000 total cost to seed and fertilise this field. That's not too bad. That leaves us, you know, the equivalent of about 17 grand to work on the other two fields, and they're obviously smaller than this, so we should have enough to, at the very least, get them both seeded and fertilised once. In terms of being able to have enough cash for additional fertilising, I'm not too sure. We'll have to see. I also haven't checked the grain storage. It's possible that the old farmer did have a little bit, just little dregs of crop left. Now, I don't know if it's going to be any good. It might have spoiled. It might have been left in poor conditions and has rotted a bit. We'll have to check. But if there's a little bit of sort of previous harvest left, then we might be able to maybe make a little bit of cash that way as well. We'll have to see. Let's just do a little bit more pass. There we go. Spin around. And off we go again. Another trip up and down the field. You can see we've got another balloon tour in progress. I think we're in the wrong industry. We're spending money hand over fist, and the local balloon tour operator seems to be making an absolute fortune. He's he's up multiple times a day, every single day. It's like he's booked way in advance. Maybe we should go into the hot air balloon business. Instead of busting our backs working the field and just spending and spending and spending. It'll come good for us. We'll get to a point where we can start turning a good profit. It shouldn't be too long. Hopefully we'll make a decent profit right out of the gate at the end of our first year. We'll have to see how we do. I would like to look at maybe acquiring some additional land. We do have some sort of nearby fields that are potentially viable. We don't have to keep them. There's quite a few grass fields in the area. We don't have to keep them as grass. We could always, rip them up and create a strip of arable land instead of leaving it as a grass field. We'll see. Obviously, there's the field right opposite us. Just there, there's a nice little sort of grass meadow there. I don't know if I want to go for that one next. I might want to wait until we have animals up and running, and then save that for when we actually have animals, and we'll need a little bit of extra grass for for hay and silage. We'll have to see how we go with that. But as you can see, let's use this map. You can see we're just over halfway through the field now, so not too far to go until this one is done. Another couple of hours, I think. Sometime between midday and 1 we should be done on this field, and then we'll turn our attention to field 15. We'll crack on with that one, and then we'll see where we are time wise at the end of that. We've had 2 very, very sort of late nights, and I'd like to be done before it gets too dark today. Get maybe a bit of an earlier night, because we could have a long day ahead of us again tomorrow with ploughing out on field 1, so that'll be a slow job, I think. So yeah, we'll get our planting done, and then that might be all we do today. We'll see. We'll see how things shake out. Tank is running dry yet again, and so we're going to have to go and make our second top-up. Just a couple 100 litres of seed left. But not a huge amount of the field left to do, so we're not going to burn through that much. Getting this finished, probably maybe another 1,000 litres of seed or so. A little bit less than that in fertiliser. Not too much at all. Oh, I missed a spot just there on that pass there as well. You can just see a little faint line. Lift that. We just tag that little bit that I missed. There we go. And now we're going to get ourselves topped up for the final time for this field at least. And then, as I say, onto field 15 after this. Probably going to put canola on that field. I think that's definitely what I'm going to go with. Give us a little bit of variety and a couple of good value-ish kind of crops. I mean, oats not the highest, sale value for a crop, but decent enough. And we'll have quite a lot of it as well. And then canola, well, we know that that's a lower yield but much higher value crop, so we should make some decent money off our canola when that comes in at the end of the year. Am I close enough this time? Nope. Of course not. I might have to look at getting these rebuilt somewhere when we have some spare cash. Put these, had these installed here because I thought that they might be useful for us to have them here with the lime, but they just you can see it's just not working out as well as I was hoping. So yeah, definitely something to think about for next year. Maybe just remove them altogether and go with seed bags or something. We'll see. We'll see how. See how the rest of our planting season shakes out, see how much money we have at the end of the year. Don't forget we do need to bring in animals, and that's going to cost, plus we have to pay off a minimum of 50,000 on our loan at the end of the year, an absolute minimum, as a as part of the additional funding agreement that we have with the Hollisters. So we might not have much available, capital next year at all. We'll have to see how that how that shakes out for us at the end of the year. I am hoping that we can make quite a nice little bit of money with our silage baling, and I think that is probably what's going to determine just what kind of an improvement we can make at the end of our year. We'll probably use that money to pay off, the 50,000 and maybe a little bit more of the loan as well, and then just use our crop income to set us up for the following year. We'll see how much money we make. So a little bit more planting to go over here then, and then, as I say, after this, moving over to field 15. I'll catch up with you guys in a little while. Alright, we are just about done. Just got this tiny little pass left over here, and then we have finished seeding our oat field. That is a lot of ground that we've covered with this seeder today. We've still got more to do, of course. We've still got a whole nother field to do. But it's taken us, what, at least I'd say 5.5 hours to get this field done. But it is now done. Just got a little thin strip there, we can tack that. There we go. So our oats are in the ground. Excellent stuff. So let's make our way over to field 15 and start planting our canola on there. Kind of wish we had a bit of a cut through just there, rather than have to come all the way down to the bottom here. Yeah, it's not a major issue. And there we go. So we want canola for this field here. There we go. Seeder down and on. And I won't need ridge markers this time because I have ploughed furrows for us to follow. Excellent stuff. So let's get our canola field planted and see what time it is when we get done here. So we are trundling along here on field 15, making some decent progress. You can see our fertilizer is burning through faster than our seed at the moment, which is a little surprising. I knew that they'd turned down canola, in terms of the seed drop rate, but I didn't realise that they turned it down quite that much. Our fertilizer is going down faster than our seed level. Not by much, but enough, and over a long distance it all adds up pretty quickly. So we'll have to top the fertilizer up before we have to top the seed up. I'm wondering actually if I'm going to have to top the seed up at all on this field. I think I might have enough to actually plant the entire field. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with the fertilizer, but with the seed, I think what I've got left in the tank might possibly cover the rest of this field. Because we didn't have a full tank, so we haven't used up half of our tank on this field. We've used up maybe, what, 600? No, not even that. Just nearly 600 litres to do all that section there. And we've got maybe twice that to do, and we've got 1,400 litres left. I think we'll have enough seed to actually finish this field without having to top the seed levels up. I don't know about the fertilizer though. That is a different question. I think that's probably going to run out, so we might have to do a quick splash and dash to top up our fertilizer level. Let's just avoid the telegraph pole. There we go. So we might be finished on this field a lot quicker than I expected. In fact, I think because we're quite close, what I'll do is I'll actually put a border along the bottom of this field here. I don't like to drive through hedges. Even if they don't have collisions, I try not to do it, just because it does look a bit weird. Just driving through a barrier that isn't actually a barrier. So we'll just put a single pass along the bottom here. I've got one running along the top again, so I've got a little bit of turning room up there. We'll do the same down here. You can see it does look as though I missed just thin, tiny little strips. And there's a little bit of the old seed bed just poking through there. And it was very hard to see what I was doing. It was so dark at night that it does look as though we did miss just a little bit. And let's run up the side here. Seeing as we're at this side of the field, we may as well sort of close off this part of the field. There we go. What time is it now? 2:15. We're going to be done pretty early, actually. I might be able to actually start potentially working on field 4, though field 1. Although, as I say, I may leave that just for tomorrow. We may just take an early finish today and leave it at that. There we go. And I've been speaking to the zoo, to Marwell Zoo, to see if they need any straw for their animals. And they have indicated that if we are going to be doing some baling, they will take some of the bales off our hand. We'll just be selling them at the the barn sell point, and then some of those will be sort of collected from there to go to Marwell Zoo, so they have some fresh bedding for some of their animals there. I don't know how much they're going to want to want from us, but whatever we do come out with straw, we'll just take the whole lot that we don't need. We'll keep some straw bales, obviously, put those in storage, but anything extra that we don't want or need, we'll just take straight over to the barn and sell it off there, and then some of that will be earmarked for Marwell Zoo. So we'll be kind of contributing to the local community a little bit. And I'm toying with the idea of getting a single cow in just so that I've got some milk for my cereal in the mornings. I'll have to think about that one. And there we go, making, as I say, strong progress here on this field. Still a little bit more to do, so I'm going to crack on again, and I'll catch up with you in a little while. We're almost out of fertiliser. I've got, what, 26 litres left. Should be enough to get this pass done. That's all that's left on the field. Still got, what, just under 800 litres of seed. I think that's going to be enough to finish planting, but we're going to have to go and top up the fertiliser tank a little bit. And do a quick splash and dash. We won't put too much in. Can I at least finish this pass off? No. So we'll lift up so that we don't have to basically just fertilise something we've already planted. There we go. We'll make our way back to our tanks, do a quick fert top up. I'm not going to touch the sea level because, like I say, I'm confident we've got enough left in there to finish planting. So if I put, say, well, maybe not even 500, maybe 400 litres of fertiliser in, that should, in theory, I think, be enough. There we go. Get lined up. Alright, went up a lot faster than I was expecting. We've got 600 litres. Okay, it's not... It's more than I wanted to put in, but it's not the end of the world. So we'll finish this field off. We're going to be doing soybean on field 1 once we've got all that prep done. And the planting rate on that is going to be pretty slow as well. So again, we might be in a position where we use the fertiliser up before we use up the seed. We'll see how that one shakes out once it's all done. That's still a couple of days away though yet. So we're going to spend tomorrow kind of prepping the field. And then, you know, liming it if we have the opportunity, if we have enough spare cash. I need to kind of crunch some numbers and see if I can afford, you know, to lime the field and also seed and fertilise it, and then pay for fertiliser for our other fields again as well. So we may skip the lime. The lime is quite pricey. It's not horrendously expensive to buy lime in itself, in and of itself, but it goes down so quickly, we use it up so fast, that it does end up being quite an expensive purchase, you know, for a field. There we go. That's that one done. Not a huge amount left to go here. Almost done. So I will get this finished off, and we're going to call it a day once this is done. You know, not a lot left in terms of work, but it's already, what, 3:45, and I did say I didn't want to work into the late hours again tonight. It'll be dark by, well, you know, getting pretty dark by sort of 7:30 at the latest. So I want to be done ideally by around 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock. And we've got plenty of time to get this last little bit done. I reckon we'll probably be done by around about 5ish, somewhere between 5 and 6. So I'll get this field finished, and I'll catch up with you again as we get closer to the end of this job. Well, this field is practically done now. We just have 2 passes, including the one that we're on, left to do. This one and then one more. And that should give us full coverage on this field. And it is just coming up to 4:30 in the afternoon, so we have a very sort of early kind of finish. I was looking at, you know, well, I say looking at, I was expecting this job to take, you know, the combined planting jobs to take longer than they did. I thought we'd be sort of another hour into the evening before we'd be done at the very earliest. But it turns out, you know, we've got, you know, a nice straightforward finish to our day. So I think what we'll do is, once we've finished this field and we've put the seeder away, I might take a little stroll over and inspect field 1, just see just how bad a condition that field is in. I know it's very heavily overgrown with weeds. It'll be interesting to see just how badly overgrown that field is. I think, am I getting full coverage? Just check with the lights. Just, oh no, we're missing. We're missing a thin strip there, look. I need to get my positioning just a little bit better. There we go. So we might, yeah, we're going to have to do one final little strip. So let's not play it so quite so risky. Play it a little bit safe. A little bit of an overlap like that. Got 183 litres of fertiliser, loads of seed left to do this final section. Sort of drifting without realising it. There we go. Corrected and back on course again. So yeah, we'll take a wander over to field 1. We'll see just how overgrown that field is. We're going to be ploughing that up tomorrow, and then we'll kind of see what condition that field is in once it's done. We've got what, just about 18 grand left. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to lime that field either. It just looks as though we're going to be a little bit too tight on cash, because we're going to have overnight fees going out as well, so over the next couple of days. So we're going to have to kind of just skip the lime on field 1 and do that next year when we have a larger surplus of cash, I think. Let's get this final little strip here done. And there we go. We are finished with our seeding. We have got the first 2 fields planted. We've got oats on field 18, and we have got canola here on field 15. So a couple of good crops for us to work with. Looking forward to getting those harvested and sold off. Hopefully we'll get some good money for those. And let's go and have a quick look at the state of field 1. See just how bad that field is. It's pretty rough. There we go. We'll drop this off just here. We'll clean that off in a moment. Let's get the lights off. We don't need those on anymore. Let's just take a drive down here. And our access to field 1 is just across that sort of little strip of waste ground just here. We've got access to a couple of grass fields just there as well, which we could look at as potential expansion fields next time out. And oh yeah, that's a lot of weeds. Engine off. Let's take a wander over. This field's pretty heavily overgrown with weeds, isn't it? Although it does have a fertiliser state on it already, by the look of it. Ah, that's handy. So that means that we only need to fertilise, well, just seeding and planting this will give us another stage of fertilisation because of the pronto. Maybe we could lime this field after all. It's quite a big field, so I don't really want to gamble. I think we'll probably just play it safe. You can see the field goes all the way back there, look, and then all the way across and along the top there. You can see the sort of hedgerow just there in the distance. It's a pretty good sized field, so liming this will be quite expensive. I think we will just play it safe. I think we'll just get this ploughed tomorrow and then look to get it planted on day 5. And we'll get our soybean crop in there. So, yeah, that's not too bad. Let's just take a quick wander around the corner as well. We've got an old sort of ruined building just there. I don't think I've ever checked that out before. Let's just have a little wander around here. So we've got access to the water just here, as you can see, and we've got a sort of a strip of grass here that we could potentially work. Going forward, an old boat here. It looks in pretty rough condition. I wouldn't necessarily want to go out in that without giving it a bit of an overhaul first. But nice little lake. That's what, Bow Lake, I think it is. This old little ruined building over here. I'm not quite sure what this used to be. Maybe a little old stone cottage or something. Looks like there might have been a fireplace just here at one time. And there you can see the rest of the grass. You know, it kind of just swoops around this tree. So that's a good sized little plot of land. We might possibly look at seeing if we can acquire this land going forward. And leave that as a grass field, and then we could maybe turn field 19 next year. We could look at maybe turning this into a crop field, because this is a really big meadow, and I don't think we're going to need a meadow quite that big. You see, it goes up here. Just try and avoid skewering me sensitive bits on the barbed wire. I think there's a way through just here as well. Yeah. So it runs up here, as you can see. There's a big old area of ground just here, but it also runs along the side of field 1 as well. So we head up around the corner. You can see we've got all that there as well. This is a big field. I mean, hell, we could even just, you know, rip up this section along the top here like that, and then maybe just leave this bottom half as grass. I don't really want to try and do that this year. We don't really have the money for that. I mean, we could rip it up, but, you know, we wouldn't have enough money to seed and fertilize it. So yeah, maybe that's what we'll do next year. We'll maybe rip up half of that field, keep the bottom half here as a grass meadow, so we've still got a good source of grass for baling, for you know, for silage bales and for feed going forward. And we'll turn the top part of field 19 into a crop field for next year, and that'll help, you know, give us quite a nice boost to our harvest income at the end of next year. So yeah, some things to think about there. So let's go get the cedar cleaned, put away. We'll pack the 7R up, get an early-ish kind of finish today, just gone 5 o'clock as you can see, and we'll start up again with the plough tomorrow and get field 1 prepped and ready for seeding. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Marwell Manor very soon.